So welcome, Victor Dadaj. Did I say that correctly?
You said it correctly, my friend. Thank you, Lance.
Victor is, I'm talking to Victor today because we want to learn a little bit more about Victor. And I just share some of the things that Victor's been involved with. He's a certified Canfield Trainer in the Success Principles, and he's going for his Canfield methodology in September. He's author of a book called You Can Become Successful. He's a contributing author to Mark Hoverson's book, The $1 Million Day, and he's going to be a co-author in Jack Canfield's upcoming book, Success Breakthroughs. And he got the boot about 5 years ago and the beginning of his entrepreneurial journey. All right, fantastic. And my name is Lance Best, and I'm in Auckland. And Victor, where are you?
I'm in New York City.
Oh, that's right, New York City. Nice. Now, just my first question is, what's the origination of the name Dedaj?
Okay, so my background is I'm from the Balkans, so a mixture of Albanian and what's part of the former Yugoslavia and Montenegro. So I'm from that area. And my parents, we all grew up over there in the Balkans. We moved here several decades ago. I was born and raised in New York City.
Great, fantastic.
My brothers were born over there, though. I'm the only one born here.
Okay. So let me, I'm a little bit confused when I read. I've done my homework. I've listened to the videos as you sent and so forth. And one of the first things that came up to me was, first of all, you said you'd love to be interviewed. It always interested me in the responses from people, because some people like, some people love, and some people that have a whole different range of saying it. I'm happy to be interviewed is another one. You said you love it. So that, to me, that tells me you're going for it.
Oh, yeah. I love to talk to people. I love to share my value and wisdom with other people. And one of the things, you're going to be an entrepreneur. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to love being with people and talking to people. When I enjoy talking to people, I feed off of that. And I really enjoy talking to people and getting to know them. It's a lot of fun. I like being around people.
Okay. Now, the thing that came to me, I got, wow, so much, Victor. You've listed so much. Do you ever feel lost? Because that's a lot for any person.
Yeah. Well, what I've learned to do over the last couple of years, Lance, is I've learned to cut down on some things, because, yeah, you can overwhelm yourself. If you try to tackle too much at once, you can be overwhelmed. One of the biggest failures for a lot of entrepreneurs is information overload. Try to tackle on too much. And what a lot of the big guys do is they've learned to delegate things to other people. So they try not to do everything on their own, because if they do, there's no way they can do it. So, for example, if I have an e-commerce store, I'm not going to fulfill my orders. I'm going to have other people do it, because it's just not a good use of my time. I don't like doing it. I don't believe you should be doing something you really hate doing. So I don't like fulfilling orders. So one of the things I try not to do in my house is I don't mow my own lawn. I don't shovel the snow during the winter. I try to focus on things that are useful, that can produce income-producing activities. So I think that's where your focus should be most of the time. Try not to, too many people do what Jim Rohn says, major in the minor. So I try to avoid focusing too much on the minors. I try to focus on the things that are going to be helpful to me, that can help me with my career. And the other things I try to delegate as much as possible.
Okay. Do you think having 15 links on your Facebook can be confusing for people? Because people come to you to see, they want to find out what you do. Now, I'm going to be honest here. Okay, when I look at your website and all the stuff that I see, there's a lot about you, but there's not so much about what you do for people. So let's hear that. What can you specifically do for people?
Okay, what I can specifically do for people is, again, I'm a certified Canfield trainer. I've learned the things how to be successful. I can train people, I can coach people, and if they want to join one of their businesses, they can. And one of the things I have on my website is they can schedule appointments with me to get to know me better, and they can talk about whatever they want to talk about me. So so I try to share like my personal story on my website, a little about who I am, my background, and yeah, but I can coach people. I can teach people how to be successful because I've been working at this for 5 years. So I've learned the things. I've gone to many events. I've met a lot of successful people. I've made my fair share of mistakes, and you have to do that when you're an entrepreneur. You cannot succeed without failing. And you're only a failure if you give up. But you're going to make your share of mistakes. And the thing is, as long as you learn from them and you've grown from them and you've grown from your overcoming obstacles, you can definitely share your experience with other people. In fact, people want to work with people who failed. If you say, I've succeeded in everything I've done, no one's going to want to work with you because they'll say, I can't do this. But if you say, yeah, I did these stupid things, I failed in 5 companies, people can identify with you. So I think like sharing your story is very important because that's how people can identify with you.
Okay, so let's go back a bit. So let's
Sure.
Just tell us just a little bit about the work and what you did when you were working before you got the...
Sure. I was in the corporate world for many years. I was in the financial world. I started out working in operations in my early years. Then later on, I was a performance analyst for many years, and I enjoyed doing it. I enjoy working with numbers. I met some really great people, but honestly, after a while, I felt like I was getting into a rut. And 5 years ago, I was let go from my job, and frankly, I was not too disappointed because I had been thinking for a while of changing careers. I thought about working on my own, and this gave me an incentive to do so. So yeah, I spent a lot of years working in the corporate world, made a lot of good friends. I still have a lot of friends I keep in touch with, and I learned a lot of great things during those years. And I think after a while, it was time to move on.
Right, right. But I can relate to your experience because I hated the corporate world and still do. Did they let you go nicely, or was it traumatic? Tell us a little bit about moving away. Because it's scary for a lot of people. What was it? What was it for you? How was it for you?
To be honest with you, I wasn't totally surprised because my boss had warned me it was a possibility. So I can't say I was surprised. So when it happened, I thought it'd probably happen a little bit later, but the fact that it happened, I was not really surprised. So I was kind of expecting it. And, and of course I had some savings, so that was good. And I actually had moved back home, so that definitely helped. So those kind of things help. But I'll be honest with you, I felt free that weekend because it was actually my birthday weekend when it happened. So I spent the next several days going to different activities, celebrating my birthday with all different groups of friends. So it was actually a very fun weekend, believe it or not. So it felt weird because I had never been laid off in my entire life. So I'd never been let go from a job. So it did feel a little weird, definitely, but I wasn't traumatized by it. And I took a little time off. I think I had something called brain drain because I never been out of work for any period of time. So it's been a long time since I had a real vacation. So it's actually having a little bit of vacation helps. So it helped my brain to relax and calm down. And my brain went on vacation for a little while, and then I was able to start thinking more clearly and think about what I wanted to do going forward. So it was actually actually it was a very fun period in my life. I was able to start enjoying some things, catching up with some friends, relaxing a little bit, and then figuring out what I want to do. I was able to think more clearly because sometimes when you're in a rut doing the same thing every single day, you're just going through the motions, but you're not really thinking because you're just trying to get through the day. And I just found after it happened, I was able to think more clearly and focus on what I really wanted to do. So
the next step, what caused your next step? How did you get to where the path you're on now? What happened? What occurred?
A lot of trial and error. Because first of all, I joined some business opportunity. I did everything wrong. I had no idea what I was doing. I just went in, started spamming everyone I knew on Facebook, sending my links, join me, join me, join me. Needless to say, almost no one joined me. A lot of people got angry. Some people cursed me out. Some people blocked me on Facebook. And I tried several different companies. And then finally, the one thing that really made a big difference to me was getting a mentor, because once I started getting a mentor, the mentor would say, hey, you don't do this. It's not the way to do it. So one thing I would recommend to people is if you're starting off as an entrepreneur working online, try to get yourself a mentor. It's going to save you a lot of trial. It's going to save you a lot of heartache and misery. It's going to save you a lot of time. Invest in a mentor, because when I started getting mentors, it made things a lot easier for me. I still made mistakes, but I started making a lot fewer mistakes. So some of the mistakes I did was try to join 3 or 4 companies at once. And when you try to join 4 companies at once, you wind up doing work in none of them because you're overwhelmed and paralyzed, because you don't know what you're doing and you don't know which company to focus on that particular day. And I fell prey to what's called shiny ball syndrome or shiny object syndrome, because all these companies look good. And the truth is, a lot of these companies are good, but I would say for anyone getting started, focus just on one company. Forget about all the other ones. If focus on one company, maybe have some success, and maybe down the road you can add the second stream. If you're getting started, focus on one thing at a time. Focus is very important. I talk about that in my book. Focus is very important starting off. I think one reason people fail when they started off is that they try to do too many things at once and they get overwhelmed and paralyzed.
So you became a Canfield coach. Why did you choose Canfield?
I've always liked John Canfield. I remember back in the 90s when his Chicken Soup for the Soul book came out. I enjoyed reading it, and I read a couple of other of his books, such as The Success Principles. And I actually visualized myself meeting him one day. And those are some of the things. Visualizations is something I practice a lot, and I recommend that for people as well. Visualize the kind of life you want. And a couple of years ago, I saw on Facebook that he was appearing nearby in New Jersey, right across the river from New York City. So I signed up for that event. I met him there, and I really was impressed by this guy, because not only is he a guy who's successful, he makes millions every year, but he's very down to earth, very approachable, very friendly, and his entire staff is really friendly. I was just really impressed by the entire team. And I signed up for another one of his events called Breakthrough to Success, which we get to spend 5 days with him. So that was in Philadelphia about 6-7 months later. And I was really impressed at that event. And then I signed up for his Train-to-Trainer program, and his online program, which I got certified through that program. I had to take an exam, and I was certified in it. And now I'm in this Train-to-Trainer live program. So we're spending 2 weeks with him. We just spent the week with him in May in Newport Beach, California, and then we're going to spend another week with him in September in Los Angeles. And once we get through that, if all goes well, we should be all certified in the Canfield methodology, which means we use the same methods he does and when he teaches, for example, a workshop or a weekend event. So we spend those 2 weeks being trained and teaching the way he teaches. And the first week I could tell you was extremely intensive. They really go through everything, and we love it. We learn a lot from it, and I can't wait for the second week. And actually, we have assignments during the summer. Like we have to host a webinar. We're going to be in mastermind groups. We have to host a half-day workshop. So those are all things we need to do before our next meeting. So they really do everything to prepare their trainers.
Now, you're a very focused, serious person. Now, let me see you smile for a second.
Of course.
Now, that's much better. Yeah.
All right.
I can tell that you're very focused and so forth. And I do love the way that you take my questions, and you a lot of people don't do that. And I think that's very powerful and important in what you're doing. Coaching is needs that. Let me ask you, what's an ideal client for you? What's someone that's ideal for you?
For me, someone who's ideal is someone, number one, who's open-minded and coachable. Here's the thing. Anyone that wants to work with me, I'm willing to share anything I know with them, try to help as much as I can. People who don't listen, who try to act like they know it all, they are some of the worst clients because they're going to be a pain in the neck. And sometimes you just want to deal with clients who are fun to be with. You want to deal with someone who just complains about anything. There's some people who are just very negative, and they're not open-minded to things, and they're not coachable. If you're not coachable, I don't care how much someone teaches you, you're not going to succeed. And you talk to most coaches, they'll say the worst people are the ones who say, I already know that. The ones who don't want to be trainable. I've spoken to many 7- and 8-figure earners, and they say, I'm always learning. They always want to learn because one little bit of wisdom can change their lives. So if you're open to learning and you're willing to put in the work, those are the kind of people I want to deal with. I don't want to deal with someone who wants you to do everything for them, because no one can succeed for you. I can help guide you, but ultimately you have to put in the effort. So if you're willing to put in the effort, are open-minded, and are coachable, that's the kind of person I want to work with.
It's interesting because while I was waiting for you and relaxing, I wrote a poem.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, the poem starts like this. Sometimes we are bricks up to our usual tricks. To come up with that story, I just put it on my Facebook page. To do this a long time ago, play with words, and now I've started doing it again. So it's like you may speak nicely to us, but it's like talking to a bus. You can ask us to get through. Sadly, all you'll do is end up going blue. So now, until we step out of that, it's a problem. So what comes up for me now is, so can you share an experience in a way, we don't need the names of a person, but to share what was an experience where you've done something for a client, where you've had a relationship, and to give us an idea of how you work and what you achieve.
Yeah, well, again, clients that I've worked with that I've helped, they've gone on to great things in their lives. I've gotten people to write.
I want to get you before that. So what have you done? What have they come to you for, and what did you do with them?
Well, a lot of people that have come to me, either like they're struggling, they're lacking focus, they don't know what to do, they feel like they're all over the place. So what I've done with some of these people is I tell them, listen, I got to get them focused on one thing. That's why I brought it up before. Focus is very important. And also, some people don't believe in themselves. One of the things I'm very big on is mindset. Everyone's got talent in them, but one of the things I focus on is getting people to believe in themselves and realize that if they believe in themselves, they're capable of many great things. There are some people, for example, I convince a couple of people to write books because, everyone has a book in them. They can inspire so many people. You never know whose life you can affect by writing your own book. I've gotten people to build their own program, start off writing their own program, because a lot of times you can make more by teaching than by necessarily being in a company. And if you develop that wisdom, you should be able to share that with people. So a lot of people have that in them. They just don't realize it. They don't believe enough in themselves. It's one of the things I teach them. I try to make them disciplined, because one of the things you have to do when dealing with people is you have to get them focused, but also hold them accountable, because people tend to procrastinate. So one thing I think a mentor should do is try to hold their people accountable. And I'd also recommend, outside a mentor, get an accountability partner, someone you talk to once a week just to hold you accountable. Because when you're at work, the person who holds you accountable is your boss. When you work for yourself, you usually don't have someone that holds you accountable. So it's very easy to slack off. So I definitely try to hold people accountable. I try to make them focus and discipline. And I also try to get them to believe in themselves, realize they're capable of doing much more greater stuff. And sometimes it just takes one person to believe in you, and your life can change.
So are you successful?
Yes, and not just from what I've done, but also from the fact that I've been able to help other people succeed. And I think that's the true measure. If you can help other people's lives become better, that's, I think, the ultimate sign of success.
So what is success to you?
Again, there are many definitions of success. A lot of people base it just on money. But again, if you made someone believe in themselves more, if you made someone have a better relationship with their friends, with their family, if you have any kind of success, like for example, you may not be a millionaire, but if you have a great relationship with your wife and your kids, you have a great relationship with your church people, you're successful. You can have $1 million, but if you lost your wife and your kids and you abandon them, you never spend time with them, you're a failure. So success is a number of different things. So money is only one part of it, but I think success is like, if you make people's lives better, if you're happy with the life you're living, if you're loving the life you're doing, if you're doing the things that make you happy, you have a great relationship with the people you live with your friends, your family, then yes, you have a successful life. We actually have a lot more successes than we realize. We tend to focus on the things that go wrong, so we tend to think we're failures, but actually many of us actually have a lot more successes than failures. We just don't realize it.
Now, I said at the beginning this might be challenging, so let me ask that question again, Victor. What is success to you?
For me personally, successful people is number one, if I'm happy doing the things I'm doing. It's a few different things. Number one, doing the things I'm doing. Number one, if I'm living, I'm a Catholic Christian. If I'm living a good Christian life, I'm following God's will, I think that's a successful life. If I made a difference in other people's lives, and I think hopefully I'm doing that, all three things, I think my life has been a successful life. Making a difference in my life, enjoying the things I do, making a difference in other people's lives, and trying to live my life according to God's will. For me, that's what success is.
So within those words, that's why you say, yes, I'm successful.
For me, yes. And I've made other people's lives better. I've made a difference in people's lives, and I feel I made a difference in my life. So I might look at that success differently than other people, but for the way I look at it, that's what makes it. It's not just, having success and money is good and all that. That helps, yeah, and I've definitely had that. But it's more to it than that. I feel that I've made differences in other people's lives, because I believe I want to leave a legacy. When I'm no longer here, I want people to say, did Victor make people's lives better? And hopefully when I die, people will say that he did. So
if you crystallized your goal, what is it?
Well, again, my goal is to, the things I said. I want to live my life according to God's will. I want to help make a difference in people's lives, try to make people's lives better as possible, inspire people to do their best, and try to help people as much as they can, and to help my family out. That's going to be my focus for the rest of my life.
Do you have it in writing as well?
I don't have it in writing. I have it in videos in my personal site, but yeah, I should write that down. So, and you know what? I should probably put that on my website.
Okay, something that came up for me before. You've used the word entrepreneur a lot, and a lot of people use that. What does it really mean? It's I find it a very interesting word, entrepreneur. You also have, you're a traveling freedompreneur and a foodpreneur. What are they all saying? What is it all saying? When someone says, they're on Facebook or whatever, I'm an entrepreneur, but yeah, what are they actually telling us?
Yeah. Well, basically what I'm saying is, I have the freedom to work for myself. I no longer have a 9-to-5 job where a boss tells me what to do, when I can come in, when I go home, when I can take vacations, when I can take lunch. That's one thing I didn't have when I was an employee. And you see, you work in the corporate world, so you know exactly what I mean. And those who work a regular 9-to-5 job understand. And there's nothing wrong with it. I did it for a lot of years, and I had some really good years too, especially in the beginning. But that's something I don't desire. Now, being an entrepreneur, I have my own businesses. I have the freedom to work when I want. If I want to take the morning off, I have no problem working in the evening. I have no problem working till 1 o'clock in the morning. Whereas my work is not fixed, so I can work as much as I want or as little as I want. I determine when I'm successful or not. It's determined by the effort I put in. It's not determined by someone above me who can decide whether to demote me, fire me, or whatever. So I have more control over what happens to me. Now, as for traveling freedompreneur, I traveled to a lot of events, and that's one of the things I love doing, because when I was working in the corporate world, they never sent me anywhere. They sent me once to a conference across the river in Jersey City, but that was as far as I went in terms of traveling. Now I go to numerous events every year all over the country, and I love it. And I want to start expanding, do some international traveling probably the next year or so. So I have freedom to travel, because when with what I do, I could just take a laptop and I can do work from anywhere around the world. So I want to hang out somewhere for a couple of weeks, I can do that. Whereas at a regular job, I can't. So that's one of the things I have as a freedompreneur. I can work from anywhere around the world. And as a foodpreneur, one of the things about living in New York City is we have a lot of great ethnic cuisines. So I like to sample a lot of great cuisines, Asian food, Italian food, French food, you name it. I love to try it. And also when I go to other places, I love to try different foods. So a lot of times I like to post pictures of me having lunch or dinner. And that's one thing people love to do. Everyone loves to eat. So that's one thing people do enjoy. People love food because we all need to eat. So I love enjoying food. One of my mottos is food determines mood, because when you have some food, you tend to feel better. And here's a little tip for people who are trying to get prospects to sign up. If you meet them in person, take them out to lunch or dinner, because once they have some food in them, they'll be more agreeable to whatever you propose to them, because they will be in a better mood.
That's bribery, isn't it?
No, it's called good business.
Okay. If I may just sum up what I got from that, was from an entrepreneur, is you don't have a boss and you feel much more freedom. Life is your own choice. Yes. That's what I got. It sounds so much better than entrepreneur. It's like, to me, like I got it. I got it. You love life. You're enjoying it. You've got freedom. You travel, and you love food, which I can certainly understand that. And you've got the traveling part as well, which you really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, let me ask you, who are you in relation to celebrity press?
Okay, well, Celebrity Press is the book that's going to distribute the Jack Canfield book coming out, which I'm going to be one of the co-authors with him, and which I'll have a chapter in it. So Celebrity Press is actually the people putting out the book. And the book is called Success Breakthroughs. It's scheduled to come out on August 16 on Amazon. So a little over 2 weeks it should be coming out.
Okay. And where is your growth at the moment?
My growth? Well, I've been growing so much over the years. I think my personal development is skyrocketed over the last couple of years. So I've grown so much. I've authored my own book. I've authored several books. I've had several, I've hosted a couple of events. And so I've come a long way, I would say, over the last several years. I've helped a lot of people succeed. I think my growth I've come a long way over the last couple of years. So I'm very pleased with the growth I've accomplished over the last 2 years. Obviously, there's still a lot of room for improvement. There's so much more to accomplish, because I know there's so much more I can do. Bring that smile back.
Bring that smile back.
All right, it's back. You got it. You happy? All right, the smile is back. So I'm very happy with my growth. I think I've grown so much over the last few years, and I also know from talking to a lot of people, they say you've grown so much, you've accomplished so much, and I'm excited over the next couple of years, because there's so much more for me to accomplish. One of the reasons why I go to events is to surround myself with successful people, because they can make you see a bigger vision. They make you realize there are more things you can accomplish. So I just been learning so many more things I want to accomplish. There's a lot more I want to do in my life. So I'm very happy with what I have accomplished the last couple of years, but I know there's so much more I can continue to do and to grow. And I'm very excited. So again, that's why I try to surround myself with those kind of successful people, and successful mentors, because they can make you see so many more things you can do with your life. It's amazing. We're goal-oriented people. When we achieve one goal, we look for a new goal to accomplish. So that's why you see sometimes people, they're successful in a company, they'll sell the company and they start a new company, because they just want more to do with their lives. So I'm just excited about the future because I know there's so much more for me to do, and I'm looking to accomplish a lot more and continue to grow and, you know, do more in my life and to help more people out.
Okay. Now, time's almost up. What I'll do in a minute, I'll just sum up. Before then, I've got a couple of potluck questions for you.
Sure.
And then after that, when we sign off, then we just perhaps stay on for a couple of minutes and just have a chat.
Absolutely, my friend.
Lovely. Okay. So the choice is yours. You've got it from between 1 and 67, any number.
What were the choices again?
Between 1 and 67, any number from 1 to 67.
42.
42. What's one thing you would like to do better, and what's your plan for improving?
What's one thing I would love to do better?
Yes, and what's your plan for improving?
Actually, one thing I want to do more of, and I'm actually I'm a good public speaker, but I know I can be an even better public speaker. So actually, one of my goals for the next year is to do more public speaking and to improve at it. So some of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to be speaking at more events, and I'm also watching more videos of how people speak. I also just joined Toastmasters International, and because I belonged to it many years ago and I stopped going, so I joined it recently, and I'm going to learn more from the Toastmasters group because they are a great group to teach you how to be a better public speaker. So I want to become a better public speaker, and that's one of the things I want to do in the upcoming year. So Toastmasters, I think, is the best way for me to do it.
Yep, Toastmasters. I'm a advanced gold, but yes, you definitely will learn technique. I can guarantee you that. Just don't lose your own personality is what I always tell people. Learn all the technique, structure, and everything else. Do not lose your personality. That's who you are. That's the key.
I totally agree. You got to be who you are. People love you for who you are. First of all, when you're yourself, it's easier to do. When you try to be something you're not, it's number one, people won't be attracted to it. But number two, it's a lot of work trying to be someone you're not. So be yourself because more people will like you, and it's much easier to do.
Okay, Victor, 2 more. So a number between 1 and 67.
24.
20. Hey, you're opposite of 42. What's your favorite quote, line of poetry, or sentence?
What's my favorite quote, line?
One of your favorites. I don't like the word favorite, but one of your the quotes or lines of poetry or sentence that really speaks to you.
One of my favorite sentences? Okay. Well, and again, being a Christian, I would say from the Bible is at the end of Matthew, Jesus says, "Behold, I'm with you always to the end of the world." Because for me, no matter what I go through, I realize I'm never alone. Like, God will be with me. So to me, that's something that's always been reassuring to me because so no matter what I'm going through, I know I'm not going through it all by myself. So that's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a Christian too, so.
Oh, great.
Okay, so the last one, 1 to 67.
Okay, 1 to 67, I will use 18.
18. Okay, by the way, anybody listening, I change these numbers around every so often so you don't come on and get the question you want. Oh, hey, what's one of your all-time favorite memories?
One of my all-time favorite memories.
Yes.
I would say, actually, when I was 16 years old, I spent the summer in what is now the former Yugoslavia, and I spent it with my relatives over there. And actually, I just had a really great time during that summer seeing all my relatives, and they were really great to me. They fed me, they took care of me, they showed me around all the areas. And I just had a really nice time, especially when I went there, I was feeling kind of down at the time. And I just had a really great time that summer, made a lot of friends. I just had a really great time. And that's one of my all-time favorite memories, just spending that time with my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, and I really got to know them very well because I hadn't seen many of them many years, because when I was small, they came to visit us. So I spent most of the summer just with my relatives there, and they just made me feel like a king. So that's one of my favorite memories, just spending the whole summer with my relatives.
Oh, thank you, Victor. Today we've been talking to Victor Dadaj, and you can see he's a very focused man. So, and he can smile too. And so, anybody out there who's interested in especially focus, because I think that's I think yeah, Victor used the word accountability. So if you want someone to get you focused, I think you can see that Victor is a man that could do that for you. So anyone listening, remember this name, Victor Dadaj. And thank you very much, Victor. My name is Lance Best, and I'm in Auckland, New Zealand. And I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to Victor for the last half an hour. Thank you and goodbye. We've got a word from Victor.
Thank you for having me on your show, Lance. It was a pleasure being here with you. I had a great time.
Lovely. Thank you.